Here to present my intern report, which I did last month in CMTI. So this is my final intern report. So first we will move on with the rate analysis. So rate analysis is nothing but which it can be rate analysis can be defined as the qualitative and quantitative study that leads to the definition of a new unit rate referring to a given job or work or type of identifying its basic elements. So why we are doing rate analysis means it gives the entire cost of construction for a particular project, or it gives how much cost for the entire how much cost or how much it requires for entire for completing the entire process. While we are doing the rate analysis, some of the items are very much included in that. That is nothing but the shoring and the shuttering, the dewatering works, timber or steel accessories to prevent the necessary sliding, removal of vegetation, small shrubs, lead and the lift. These are some of the things that we need to consider while we are doing the rate analysis. So shoring and shuttering, temporary arrangement for prevention of the soil to collapse. So while we are before we are doing the construction process, while we are in excavation process itself, we used to provide these shuttering works in order to prevent the soil from being collapsed. So this is some of the two images. These are some of the shoring and shuttering, that is images that I have provided. Then mass excavation. So mass excavation means while before we are doing the construction process, we will use we used to do excavation processes. So mass excavation, it is usually carried out 1.5 meter at a depth of 1.5 meter. Why we are keeping it as 1.5 meter is generally because of the height of a person, and it is more than 1.5 meter depth means it is generally considered highly unsafe. So manual excavation for dressing the edges and leveling along with the lead and the lift, all these need to be done. Then dewatering of the ground and surface water. Surface water had to be carried out. That is very important process in order to avoid the slurry formation. If we leave, that means the slurry formation takes place and it becomes nearly it gives a clumsy outlook. Next, excavating loose pocket surface dressing and compacting the same. PCC area is generally considered for the measurement process. So what are the rates considered here means loading, unloading process, transportation, spreading, compacting. These are some of the amounts that are usually rates that are be considered here. So the first image here shows about soil nailing. The second is grouting work. Then this is also soil nailing. So next, earthwork. So we used to have two types of works. So next, soil nailing, earthwork or backfill equipments. The compaction is usually carried out using these three. These are some of the images I have taken. Compaction is carried out and excavation process. All these can be done using these equipments. Transit mixers. So we would have heard about the ready mix concrete. All these are carried out by the transit mixtures that is movable. Then next, controlled blasting. So controlled blasting, the holes actually controlled blasting is a method where the breakage takes place in a particular controlled manner. The usually in a concrete or in mining areas, what they used to make is they used to make a hole and they used to fill it with chemicals and they make it a controlled blasting method. So using this controlled blasting, some of the cracks are developed and there's no any external damages that are being carried out. So in both mining and construction industries, blasting is the predominant method for fragmentation of consolidated mineral deposits. So next, anti-termite treatment works. So anti-termite treatment works, it is generally usually carried before the construction, before starting of the before laying of the elements. So at the base itself, creating a continuous chemical barrier, including diluting. It is actually present in IS 6313 Part 2 1981. Pre-constructional anti-termite treatment is a process in which soil treatment is applied to a building in early stages of construction. That is what it is carried out in the early stages of the construction. Treating the soil beneath the building and around the foundation with a soil insecticide is a preventive measure. The purpose of the treatment is to create a chemical barrier between the ground from where termites come and woodwork or other cellulosic material in the building. So in order to prevent the attack of the termites, we are supposed to keep it balanced. For a balanced construction, we need all these things. Next, PCC in foundation. This is one of the very important aspect. It's generally to provide a plain surface beneath the flooring and also to improve the bearing capacity of the underlying surface of footing or foundation. Usually the PCC is provided beneath the foundation. It is about 100 thick. Generally, it is the standard one. Next, while we are doing next, we will move on to sequence of construction. Before we are doing a construction process, while we are starting with the construction, some sequence or methods, some order is to be carried out for the construction. So first we will first what we supposed to do is receiving a drawing. So what is the main thing is first, for a better communication or better understanding before the construction process, we are supposed to receive a drawing and have a glance at it. So drawing, what does this drawing have? It used to have the footing layout, column centerline layout, that is the base plan, plinth beam details, architectural plan, and so on and so forth. So all these are present in the drawing itself. So next, once after we are we have gone through this drawing, we move to the marking of the footing layout. So what is this marking of footing? Once after the diagram, that is the diagram, all these is present, we are supposed to go to the construction site. Next, we are supposed to mark the footing. The first and the foremost job is the marking of the footing for the excavation purpose. So how the footing is marked? It is used. Some of very small tools are mentioned here: marking thread, plumbing bob, right angle measuring tape. All these are some of the tools that is used for the for footing layout. Next, once after footing layout is completed, we move on to the excavation. Excavation is usually carried out by manually or by machineries, but nowadays machineries are used. Then preparation of the bar bending schedule is very important for any construction for any high construction projects. Then excavation up to the PCC bottom. Excavation is carried out up to the PCC bottom. Arranging materials or machineries required for doing PCC. So what some of the tools what we are required is mixer, ramming, laborers. All these are very important. Next, laying of the PCC. As we saw before, PCC is laid 100 below. Then marking for footing, marking for the footings, columns. All these are carried out. This is how the picture shows how the marking of the footings is done. Next, eighth step is tying of the reinforcement. So once after all this is done, we are laying the footing, and the footing and the column is begin to construct. Once we are putting the steel rod, the reinforcement are very important. So we are tying of the reinforcement plays a very major role. Then after that, shuttering is very important. Once after the shuttering is done, we are pouring the cement concrete, as we are seen in 10th image. Then after finishing this, we are moving to starter marking and concreting. That is the next process. Then reinforcement for our column from top of the footing to plinth beam. That is the first image there. Shuttering in columns from top of the footing to plinth beam. RCC. Then filling it once after the shuttering is provided for the columns. Then we are filling it with RCC. Then again backfilling and consolidation up to plinth beam. Then next, laying of the PCC below the plinth beam. This is actually vertical shuttering is generally provided in case of the plinth beam, and it should be removed within the 24 hours if backfilling is done. If it is not so, we are supposed to wait for 7 days according to the IS specifications in order to remove the vertical shuttering, so that the RCC has a good strength. Next, tying of the reinforcement for plinth beam, shuttering. Again, it carried all these steps are for plinth beam, RCC for plinth beam, marking or fixing and concreting. Again, the process same continues. Then we move on to the columns, shuttering, RCC for the columns, lintel, sunshade. Then once after the column is completed, then we move on with lintel, sunshades. Then again marking. The same process continues for the columns. Once after the column is completed, we move on to shuttering for the slab and the beams, and it moves on with so on other elements which are very important. Slab, beam for ground floor. Once after the ground floor is completed, we are supposed to start with the first floor finishing. Once the finishing work is done, we move with the block work or brick work, so including the market. Once we are completing with the first, we are finishing the ground floor, it is to be done checked by the clients whether the appropriate appropriate constructed is same as it is in the diagram. Then we move on with block work or brick work up to the sill level of the window. Then curing period. Once after this is done, curing period is left generally for 7 days. Then groove cutting. Once after these processes are completed, groove cutting is very important for all the electrical plumbing work and electrical metal switch box, and for providing pipelines. All these process, if there are mesh above the grooves are to be provided, if there are more than 2 pipes. Then level pad for sealing, plastering. This process, all these continues as far. Then vertical structures. What are the process that is carried out in vertical structure means reinforcement tying, shuttering works, concrete works. In case of the horizontal structure, shuttering works, reinforcement tying, concrete works, all these are carried out. Next we move on to the reading of the drawings. So one of the very important process what we have to see here is reading of the drawings. It is actually what is the reading? A drawing is nothing but generally a sketch or a freehand used by the architects, engineers, interior designers, etc. But actually it is serve as a communicating tool between what the client wants and what an engineer should understand. So without the drawing, without better reading capability, it is not possible to provide a proper outshow or something that a proper output. So it is mainly main purpose of the drawing is to communicate the initial idea and the design. The initial idea and what is the proper design will be known only if we know how to read the drawings, and we can, if we understand all the data what is given and what are the outputs that we can get, only then we can bring out the proper design. So it is used in all the structures. So layout, first is what we see in the drawings is layout. Layout of a building or a structure shows the plan of its foundation on the ground surface according to its drawings, so that excavation can be carried out exactly where required and position orientation of the building is exactly specified. So only if we know the layout of a building, we can know how the excavation, where the excavation for the footing has to be carried out. Only then we can understand that. Then footing layout, orientation of the column. Orientation of the column is very important in case of the rectangular columns. So with facing of the columns only the footings are carried out. So footing layout is very important. Then grid lines. Then good for construction tag. This is very important. While before we are going on with the construction diagram, we are supposed to see whether the good for construction tag is present in the diagram or not. Only if that is present, we are supposed to proceed with the construction process. Then schedule of footing. Then column layout diagram. The placement of the columns, all these are present in the column layout. Then plinth beam layout, architectural plan. These are some of the things that are present in the drawings. Then next, preparation of the bar bending schedule. So bar bending schedule is one of the very basically the representation. Usually we used to during in the site there will be cutting and turning of the bars. All these processes are taking place, and in that case, it is bar bending schedule is very important in case of construction of high-fi buildings. All these. So it is prepared. Actually, BBS is prepared from the construction drawings. Separate BBS is prepared because bars are bended in various shapes depending on the shape of a member. So bar bending schedule, commonly referred to as BBS, is a comprehensive list that describes the location, marks, type, size, length and number, and bending details of each bar or fabric in a reinforcement of a structure. This process of listing the location, type and size, number and all the other details is called as scheduling. In context of reinforcement bars, it is called bar scheduling. So bar bending schedule is a way of organizing rebars for each structural unit, giving detailed reinforcement requirements. So IS 1200. There are so much to learn from IS 1200, but all not possible. So all not possible to bring out in a small PPT. So I have given very small gist of this. Work executed in the following conditions shall be measured separately. So these are the things that has to be very precisely measured separately. Work in or underwater, work in or under foul situations, under tidal conditions, in working in snow. All these criteria has to be done and measured separately. Lead and lift. Lead and lift plays a major role in the excavation process even. So every 50 meter is taken as lead. That is one unit, and it can be extended up to from 50 meter to 250 meter. It is usually taken as one unit. Then again 250 meter to 500 meter, it is again taken as one separate unit. Then beyond 500 meter, one unit. Then again 1000 meter, one unit. Then when the lead exceeds 5 kilometer, it is measured in units of 1 kilometer. Then this general gist of this, the lead includes only the labor charges, vehicle hiring, excavation, etc. Lift shall be measured from the ground level. Excavation up to 1.5 meter below the ground level and depositing excavated material on the ground shall be included in the item of the earthwork for various kinds of soil. Now next we will move on to the procurement of materials. So before we are starting any construction of a project, or before we are moving into any project, it is very important that we get our materials. So procurement of materials plays a major role in that way. To procure stores and services of right quality, right quantity, right price, right time, all these are important to support construction and repair activities of ships and submarines, maintenance, etc. by maintaining transparency and equitable approach in the procurement process. So there are certain steps that are need to be followed in the procurement of materials. First, entering into the contracts. While we are selecting the dealers, first they used to enter into particular contract and agreement between the two persons. Then it moves on with intending. Intent is a felt need or demand for the procurement of stores or material or equipment for use. Next, cost estimate. So next, after that, we are moving with the cost estimates. So what is the cost, material, how much with respect to the market rates, all these. Then receipt of purchase intent. So what is the material purchased out? We are supposed to get the receipt with the proper market value. Then what are the outgoings, what are all is present, we are supposed to deduct and have a proper receipt out of it. Methods of purchase, material packages, issue of tender inquiries, opening of bids. Actually, opening of bids, that is the way, actually the bids are open for the persons in order to place their own bids. Then earnest money deposit. Before the starting of the process, they used to invest the money. Then evaluation of tenders and formulation of purchase proposal. Import of material, international purchasing or foreign. There are certain criteria. If in case of international purchasing or foreign buying, you're supposed to, there are certain separate procedures for those. Post contract management, clearing and forwarding, receipt and inspection of the material. We are supposed to inspect the material very properly, that whether the what are the material we are asked, so that is produced or some other different is provided. All these things need to be checked. Processing of bills for payment. Then settlement of disputes. These are the some of the process in this. Then next, project management. Managing a project is very important. When it manage if construction takes place, a proper management and proper schedule is very important in order to lead the team and making it a success one. Project management is the process of leading the work of a team to achieve goals and meet success criteria at a specified time. The primary challenge of project management is to achieve all of the project goals within the given constraints. So we have this project management triangle. This project management triangle, it includes the cost, scope, time. These are the very major three items that are needed for in a project management triangle in order to meet its quality. Whatever may be the thing, but only the quality, it makes the name to come out and speak. Time, the schedule for the project to reach the competition. That is, the time is very much important. So how much your project reach, what is the time required for the project completion, all those things. Cost, the final constraints of project, the entire budget of the construction process comes in the cost. Scope, the task required to fulfill the people's goals. So next, project planning, identifying, prioritizing the tasks and assigning the resources necessary to complete a project successfully. So while we are doing a project, it is necessary to make it planned, getting it planned. That is the first and the foremost thing. So project charter, the statement of scope, objectives, and about people who are participating in the project. It lists out the risks and the benefits. It provides the expected budget of the project. So very important thing is objective, scope, risks, benefits, budget. All these things are very importantly, it should be shared with everyone. Project schedule, so starting and the finishing dates are to be given, and it should be carried out. All the schedules should be carried out in a precise manner. Then project resource, groundwork, define activities, determine dependencies, sequence activities, estimate durations, develop the schedule, all these things. Then project budget, estimating the project is very important. So once if you are not if we did a small mistake while estimating, then it causes a huge difference back of the project. So next, project quality. Plan is one of the very important aspects to be considered. Monitoring, reporting, design and review, testing and quality assurance procedures, quality control check units, dealing out with the defects, audit procedures. All these comes under project quality. Maintaining the quality is very important. And once if the quality fails, everything goes into risk. Then the project risk. So risk management. Nowadays, risk management is gaining momentum in today's construction fields. Identifying the risks, it's very important. What is the risk that is involved while during the construction process? Mapping out the impact and likelihood. Measure risk threshold. Plan risk response. Planning is very important. And the planning, how does a person in that particular situation during the risk management, how he reacts, all these comes into account. Assign an owner to each risk. Then next, management of potential impacts in a project. A proactive and reactive process of identifying, analyzing and responding to this. So these are the things that is very important for the risk management. Project communication. It gives a clear guidance on how the information will be shared as well as who is responsible for the works to be carried out. It plays an important role in boosting the productivity of the team meetings. Communication is very important and it plays a major role. And once if the communication is lost, if there is no proper communication, the entire project becomes a clumsy and it becomes a failure one. So proper communication is necessary for everyone in order to meet the uh, goal. So there should, without any disputes and proper open talks need to be done. Some of them are planned communication management, manage communication, monitoring the communication. A separate person has to be allotted for all these things, and it should be carried out properly. Um, then next, floor finishing. This is the floor finishing 5-day intern. There are types of floor finishing types. Actually, floor finishing is nothing but once after the works are carried out, finishes are to be done for proper finishing, for proper outlook, or a building becomes completed only if the finishes are done. So types of flooring. One of the main thing is flooring, wooden flooring, laying of tiles, marble flooring, rubber flooring, concrete flooring. Concrete and tiles are the most widely used. And if you go a step higher, marble and wooden, and laying of the carpet, all these things. Granite threshold. Its thickness is generally around 10 to 15 mm. The purpose of the threshold is to make a smooth and safe transition from one flooring material to the next. So these are some of the type of the floor finishes: wooden flooring, marble flooring, tile flooring, granite flooring. These are some of the pictures. The next, masonry walls. The durable part of the structure that provides strength, durability, and helps to maintain the temperature in a building is nothing but the masonry walls. There are standard sizes available: 4 inch, 6 inches, 8 inches. All these are some of the standard sizes that are available for the masonry walls. So type of masonry walls include brick masonry, random rubble masonry, lightweight brick masonry, ashlar, lightweight fly ash brick masonry, granite masonry walls, composite masonry walls. These are some of the masonry walls that are present. So methods. What are the methods that we are using is transferring of levels from beam to floor area. The first image shows transferring of the levels from beam to floor area, then marking of and the transfer of levels. Then checking alignment by 3 by 4 by 5 method. The right side picture shows the 3 by 4 by 5 method. So these are some of the methods that we are using. Damp proof course. It is made up of PCC in a ratio of 1:2:4. Usually in case of the residential building or normalized buildings, the damp proof course is around 2 centimeter. It is around 50 mm thickness in the plinth level. Water absorption test. The water absorption should be less than 1%. It is the standard one. Dimension of the solid block and fly ash bricks. These are some of the standard dimension. In case of the solid concrete block, 400 by 200 by 200 mm. Fly ash bricks means 230 by 150 by 100 mm. These are some of the standard size of the blocks that are available in the market. Then cement proportion and calculation using the volumetric blocks. So when these generally used in concrete labs, and in case of the site, in case of construction works, it is carried out in the site in order to determine the water cement ratio. The size of the volumetric box is around 0.3 by 0.3 by 4.4 meter. The standard proportion of 1:6 or 1:4 is usually carried out. Then cellular lightweight concrete. The right side, that picture shows the cellular lightweight concrete blocks. The density vary from 400 kg per cubic to 1800 kg per cubic. They are used in situ casting of roofs, walls, in cladding partition panels, especially in precast load bearing structures. Usually, the cellular lightweight concrete are nowadays used in precast load bearing structures only, and in situ casting of roofs. These are nowadays used places where they are used. Then these are some of the pictures and the types of the masonry. That is the random rubble, rubble coursed, random ashlar, coursed ashlar, and the right side is ashlar fine masonry. Then we move on to plastering works. So there are certain methods of plastering: producing the plaster components, providing dry lining for the plaster surface, application of the plaster in the internal surfaces of the building, producing fibrous plastering compounds. So this is some of the methods of plastering. So while we are doing the plastering, that is before we are doing the plastering works, there are certain methods that we have to be in conscious and carry out. That is nothing but the surface preparation. Preparing the surface before doing anything is very, very important. So what we are doing before plastering means we are cleaning the surface and brushing it with cloths. Then closing all the patches. There will be, obviously there are so much of patches, and we have to close it before 4 to 5 days of plastering itself. Then Arpita mesh. 8 inches width is provided at in the beam and the column joint, wetting the surface area of the wall to prevent the moisture absorption. Stucco plastering with 1:1 cement mortar, that is the rough coat, is provided. Second coat for the required thickness. Fixing of dots and using bobs to maintain uniform thickness. Proper curing in order to avoid the cracks. Then other methods that are used in plastering, instruments, that is some of the instruments and its usage. Hacking hammer, the first image shows the hacking hammer. It provides impression that serves as a grip for mortar binding, that is around 45 to 60 centimeter. The second image shows the sponge pad, application of the water in the plastered area and to remove the excess if it is present. The second one, sponge pads are usually used nowadays in the construction sites. Light thread and pins, that is the third one, used to align the bricks, blocks, plastering works during construction. Then next, quality check in plastering. Quality check is not only important in plastering but also in so many places. Quality checks plays a major role. Silt content of sand should be around 6 to 8%. Overlapping is must at the joint patches in order to avoid the seepage of the water. Hacking hammer test is carried out to prevent the stability of the plastering. The sealing plaster is maintained at high proportion of cement mortar. Curing is done within 10 days and cracks are checked. The thickness of the plastering should be maintained accordingly. So these are some of the images of the plastering works. The first one shows stucco plastering, the second one tagging plastering, lime rendering plastering, and PCC plastering with grooves. Then next, doors and the windows. Maybe we can say just a door and a window, but however these doors and windows have their own standard sizes that are to be used in a building. So standard door sizes based on the type of the door. Main door means it should be around 1.2 meter by 2.1 meter. Balcony doors 1.5 meter by 2.1 meter. Bedroom doors 1 meter by 2.1 meter. Toilet doors 0.8 by 2.1 meter. Next, foam fixing. The frames are fixed with the foam systems. The anchor bolts are used to withstand the wind pressure at high-rise buildings. The polyurethane foam is used, which is expandable up to 1.5 meter. That is actual quantity. Then next, window fixing flushed to inside walls. It is done with outer template to prevent to maintain the positions. The screws are used depending upon the size of the window. All the windows are flushed towards the inside wall. Balcony, door, and window are flushed outside the wall areas. Actually, the right side image shows how the window is fixed towards the wall. The windows are fixed usually to the inner side of the wall. That is the image that is shown here. Then rate analysis of painting works. Painting has its the rate analysis used in the painting works plays a major role. Actually, it costs depend upon this. The walls and ceiling emulsions. For 2 coats it's around 11 rupees. Door enamel rupees 8. Grill enamel for 2 coats it's around rupees 7. Walls and ceiling scrapping it's around rupees 18. Then painting in steel members. There are difference in painting between an RCC member as well as in a steel member. IS code for 1477 part 1 1971 code of practice for painting of ferrous metals is used. Actually, this code provides the basic code content for contact for steel members. So there are certain procedures that are to be carried out while we are painting for a steel member. The painting of the steel member should be done in a well ventilated area, that is in an open surface. That would be a better open area where there is more ventilation. Remove the old paint from the surface using the sandpaper or emery paper, which is around 180. In case of raw ferrous material, application of the primer is necessary. So these are the initial procedures. Final procedure means the sand, the primer with emery paper 400. Ensure adequate drying between the coats. If you are applying the 2 coats, we are supposed to ensure that there are adequate time intervals are being left between the 2 coatings, so that the drying and proper painting outlet is given. So next, parameters are considered. So while we are doing the painting, certain parameters are to be considered. Moisture content meter. The moisture content should be less than 5%. That is, in case if the moisture content is more than that, the paintings will remove and come automatically. DFT meter. That is nothing but dry film thickness meter. The thickness of the plastering is measured using the dry film thickness meter. It is a non-destructive test method. The total thickness of the paint should be around 75 to 125 micrometer. That is 3 to 5 mils. Then Birla Putty. Generally, 2 coats are applied. The Birla Putty, a bag of Birla Putty, it has 30 kgs and its cost is around rupees 600. Then painting works. Before we are doing the painting, there are certain methodologies that are need to be followed to check for the voids that is available on the walls. Obviously, before we are doing the painting, there will be so much of voids that is available on the so much of voids that are available on the walls. We are supposed to remove all these voids and we are supposed to prepare the surface before painting it. Applying of the oil primer coat, application of Birla Putty as the first coat, and surface before evening the surface before the painting. Sandpaper rubbing to remove the undulation. There will be so much of undulations usually in your wall. We are supposed to provide a sandpaper and remove those undulations. Usually 80 to 100 grade sandpaper is used. Then applying second coat of Birla Putty, then applying sandpaper to even the surface, applying first coat of emulsions. Then so that's it, my intern. So I hereby thank everyone, CMTA, for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and Ashok sir, Suresh sir, and Narajan sir for sharing their valuable time and sharing their enormous knowledge with us. And I also thank Shweta ma'am and Deepa ma'am for their support, and thank you, ma'am, and thank you, one and all. It was indeed a great experience with CMTA. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, one and all.